This is time restricted eating. This is the one I'd love for you to focus on. This is the one I do. This is the one I talk to my patients about doing because it's sustainable, it's doable, it's relatively easy, and it's a great entry point into fasting. Many people call this overnight fasting. Many people call this intermittent fasting. At the end of the day, I don't care what you call it. It's more important to just know what it is and how to do it. This does not require you to restrict calories. And I'm going to, in non-MS populations, we have data that it helps improve blood sugar, blood pressure, lowers stress on your cells, and fat levels come down. So basically weight loss and redistribution of fat. This actually can help even reduce some of that belly fat that tends to accumulate as we get stressed, as we get older, as our health declines. And also we have data in non-MS populations that inflammation reduces, immune function improves, and we get to see more of these neuroprotective molecules. And all of these things are so important for MS. So with time restricted eating, here's how it goes. You're going to start easy. Maybe you even think to yourself, how many hours do I generally go between the last thing I put in my mouth before I go to sleep and the first thing I put in my mouth in the morning? And water, black coffee, and like tea without sugar and cream don't count. So how many hours are you doing already? Some of you might be doing 8 to 10. Some of you might be doing 12, and some of you might be doing more, but it's good to kind of know where you're at on average. And the key here is to have an early dinner. So what you don't actually want to do is to start your fast late at night and then delay breakfast by a lot to get that maybe 10 or 12 hours in. So I like people to stop eating 3 hours before bed because that gives your upper GI tract an opportunity to empty out. And so your GI tract doesn't have to be highly engaged in digestion and absorption while you're trying to sleep. While you're sleeping is the time where the GI tract wants to clean itself up, right? Remember, those special movements happen. The migratory motor complex turns on to clean up and repair. So early dinner, 3 hours before bed. If you're a nighttime snacker, maybe you just start with cutting out that late night snack. Okay, so as I said, black tea, herbal tea, coffee, water, totally fine. Just don't put sugar and cream in there because you don't want to wake up the GI tract. Keep drinking water. Every 2 hours, roughly, you should be having to use the restroom because that's a good sign that you're well hydrated. You can use the color of the urine as a marker as well. It's not totally scientific, but hey, that's what we've got when we're at home. So let's say you're already doing 10 hours. You're going to slowly increase to 11 to 12 hours. And you start increasing this window of time where you're not eating and you see how you feel. This is where it becomes really important to have this awareness, body awareness of like, how do I feel right now? Do I feel good? Do I feel tired, lethargic? When you start feeling depleted and low energy, just eat. It's not a big deal. We're talking about doing fasting long term. And so it's not about what you do over one day. It's about what you do over many months and years. So you're going to slowly increase that fasting window as tolerated, still trying to not eat the last 3 hours before bed. Not a lot of data here for time restricted eating, but this was a study looking at people with MS. I think they recruited 3 times the amount of people, but only 8 completed it, but it still showed us some important information. What they did was they took these people with relapsing remitting MS and put them on a 16-8 fast. 16 is the amount of time fasting, and 8 is the amount of time you're eating. So you're eating all your food in a 24-hour period over 8 hours. So for example, they were not allowed to go beyond 11 a.m. They had to eat by 11 a.m. in the morning. And so that means that they had to finish by 7 p.m. Okay, they could start earlier, but at 11 a.m. was their deadline. And what they found was People did well with this. It was they were able to comply. It was safe. There were no major side effects. In fact, even with fasting mimicking diets and intermittent fasting, those are all well tolerated as long as you ease into it. Now, they wanted to measure patient-reported health outcomes, but the study was too small. They just couldn't draw any firm conclusions. But asking people how they felt, some said they had more energy, they were sleeping better, reflux decreased, overall they were feeling better, they were drinking more water. So these are actually pretty much in line with what I hear from patients. People feel good when they're not loading up their GI tract all the time.